I mean, whoa, Hillary Clinton in 2004 sounding like a bigot. No, of course, she just believes what every human being in all of human history, in every civilization, even the human sacrifice civilizations, believed about marriage, which is that it's one man and one woman. And you heard Hillary literally say, and for what purpose? For the raising and socializing of children and for the next generation. Wait a second.
Is it true that all people historically defined marriage as being between one man and one woman? The answer is absolutely not. Anyone with even a mediocre grasp of history knows that marriage between one man and one woman has not been the only accepted definition of marriage throughout history. Just look at the Wikipedia page for polygamy, which states, scientific studies classify humans as mildly polygynous, or monogamous with polygynous tendencies. As mentioned above, data from 1960 to 1980 in the Ethnographic Atlas Codebook indicated that polygamy was common. A separate 1988 review examined the practices of 849 societies from before Western imperialism and colonization. The review found that 708 of the societies, 83%, accepted polygyny. Only 16% were monogamous and 1% polyandrous. Polygamy has been a normal part of human history and remains present in some cultures today. The idea that marriage has always been defined as between one man and one woman is simply ridiculous. Moreover, it is undeniable that the Bible allows polygamy and never explicitly condemns it. As Old Testament scholar Richard M. Davidson wrote, the book of Genesis contains several examples of polygamy and/or concubinage: Lamech, Nahor, Abraham, Jacob, Esau, and Eliphaz. Though no explicit verbal condemnation of this practice is given in these biblical narratives, the narrator, whom I take as Moses, presents each account in such a way as to underscore a theology of disapproval. The record of these polygamous relationships is bristling with discord, rivalry, heartache, and even rebellion, revealing the negative motivations and/or disastrous consequences that invariably accompanied such departures from God's Edenic standard. The inspired narratives with their implicit theology of disapproval speak even louder and more eloquently than explicit condemnation. While Davidson argues that the Bible's narratives implicitly disapprove of polygamy, I disagree with his assessment that this implicit disapproval is more eloquent if the goal was to ban polygamy. If the Bible intended to ban polygamy, it should have stated so explicitly, perhaps with a commandment like, "Thou shalt not have more than one wife." Jewish tradition teaches that there are 613 commandments in the Torah, yet none of them ban polygamy. This omission is significant and further challenges the claim that marriage has always been universally understood as monogamous. Biblical narratives make it clear that polygamy was allowed. Consider the opening of 1 Samuel, which states, "Now there was a man named Elkanah, who was from Ramathaim Zophim in the hill country of Ephraim. He was the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. He had 2 wives, one named Hannah and the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Year after year Elkanah would go up from his city to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts at Shiloh, where Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests to the Lord." The esteemed scholar, Rabbi Chaim Dov Rabinowitz, in his extensive commentary on the Bible, writes on these verses, "He had 2 wives. One was named Hannah, and the other, Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah did not have children. He had 2 wives." From reading the story, it seems that Hannah was Elkanah's first wife. However, since she was barren, he took a second wife who bore him children. Peninnah, however, was a rival to Hannah, as described below. Generally speaking, polygamy was looked down upon in Israel and a matter of ignominy for an important person, except for instances where he was compelled to marry a second wife because his first wife was barren. Co-wife. This appellation, Zara in Hebrew, synonymous with the word meaning woe or distress, is one of denigration in the Torah, see Leviticus 8:18, and there is a deep meaning to it. Polygamy is not forbidden by the Torah and may even have its beneficial aspects if people would know how to live in peace and give way to each other. Otherwise, letting a co-wife into the house may become a source of woe for the entire family. This is true even when there is a realization of the greater woe caused by the first wife's inability to bear children. Thus, in order not to forget the character of the marriage to a co-wife, she is given the designation Zara, And the Quran also allows polygamy, as Shake It Off explains.
As I mentioned, I am committed to teaching you about how beautiful Islam really is.
Thank you, Muhammad. I'm excited. What are we going to learn about today?
Today we are going to learn about some gratifying advantages of being a man in Islam, specifically in relation to women.
Oh, goody gumdrops, Muhammad. I don't know what that means, but I can't wait.
To start with, Muslim men are allowed to marry up to 4 wives according to Surah 4, verse 3 of the Quran. Except for me, of course. I received a special revelation saying I could have as many wives as I want, and that any woman can offer themselves to me.
I feel that your Lord hastens in fulfilling your wishes and desires.
Shut up, Aisha. Go back to playing with your dolls.
I mean, she has a point, Muhammad. It seems awfully convenient. The man receiving the revelations gets the most sex partners.
You really do crack me up. Shake it off. You have a lot to learn. Anyway, as I was saying, you can have up to 4 wives. And not only that, you can have sex with them whenever you want, in any way you like, even if they aren't in the mood.
I don't know about that. Muhammad, that doesn't sound quite right.
Shake it off. Don't you dare question me. Besides, it has to be right, because Allah told me so. Some of my companions experienced issues with some feisty captives who didn't want to be bent over, if you know what I mean. That's when Allah revealed Surah 2, verse 223 of the Quran to me, so I would know my wives are tilths for me, so I can go to them when and how I please.
What is a tilth, Muhammad?
A tilth is soil ready to be seeded. So with the revelation of Surah 2, verse 223, I can give all 9 of my wives the old upside-down Macarena on the same night, and in any way I like. You can read all about my sexcapades in Sahih al-Bukhari, 52:15.
Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet used to pass by, have sexual relation with all his wives in one night, and at that time he had 9 wives.
I wish you would take a bath after each round at least. I'm always wife number 9.
Pipe down, Sada. You'll be getting a beating after I've decorated your interior.
Wow, what do you mean by beating?
Allah told me in Surah 4, verse 34 that if I fear rebellion from my wives, I can beat them.
Wait a second. Obergefell just called to call you a bigot, Hillary. Obergefell v. Hodges, that's a Supreme Court decision that found a fictional right to gay marriage in the Constitution. And their argument for gay marriage, for expanding marriage, by the way, when you expand marriage, you obliterate marriage, because marriage has a definition.
Who decided that the definition of marriage must be exclusively between one man and one woman? If your answer is the Bible, that claim doesn't hold up, as I've already explained with the examples of polygamy being accepted in biblical narratives. But let me ask you this. Do you consistently follow other biblical teachings about marriage? For instance, would you adhere to the ritual described in Numbers 5, known as the soda ritual, which deals with suspected adultery? Or, if you are a Christian, do you genuinely believe what Paul taught in 1 Corinthians 7:8-9 when he said, "Now to the unmarried and widows I say this, it is good for them to remain unmarried as I am, but if they cannot control themselves, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion." Do you genuinely believe this is the right approach to marriage either today or at any time in history? Or do you acknowledge this is an unsound sexual ethic, at which point you will be picking and choosing which biblical sexual ethics you follow and which you don't? And once you start picking and choosing, it becomes hard to justify why opposition to gay marriage should stay on the list of the sexual ethics you promote.
Okay, and so if it's not a man and a woman, then it's something else. And if it's not based on biological sexual differences and complementarity for the good of society and the rearing of children, then it's based on desires. And that's the reasoning that was behind gay marriage and the Obergefell decision, was that marriage was based on desires and the sort of the emotional satisfaction of the two individuals, the two dudes or the two gals who say, we're married now, okay?
Why is it wrong for marriage to be based on desires or emotional satisfaction? Just a moment ago, I cited Paul advocating people to get married mainly to avoid sexual temptation. While I disagree with Paul's ethics, it would be a little inconsistent for Christians to argue marriage based on desire is wrong. Getting married for desire and emotional satisfaction is not so bad, so long as you do it responsibly and know what you are committing to. But I am unconvinced that desires and emotional satisfaction were the main reasons for the decision. There were other reasons, including equal protections and the social benefits of marriage. For example, the court stated, excluding same-sex couples from marriage thus conflicts with a central premise of the right to marry. Without the recognition, stability, and predictability marriage offers, their children suffer the stigma of knowing their families are somehow lesser. They also suffer the significant material costs of being raised by unmarried parents, relegated through no fault of their own to a more difficult and uncertain family life. The marriage laws at issue here thus harm and humiliate the children of same-sex couples. That is not to say the right to marry is less meaningful for those who do not or cannot have children. An ability, desire, or promise to procreate is not and has not been a prerequisite for a valid marriage in any state. In light of precedent protecting the right of a married couple not to procreate, it cannot be said the court or the states have conditioned the right to marry on the capacity or commitment to procreate. The constitutional marriage right has many aspects, of which childbearing is only one.
Obviously, gay marriage can't be for the procreation of children, right? I think I took a biology course. I don't think that's possible.
While it is true that male gays cannot procreate, that is, unless one of them identifies as a woman, lesbian couples can procreate by using a sperm donor.
Redefining or expanding marriage actually obliterates marriage. It's very important to say that. And here's Hillary Clinton literally saying it's the foundational institution. It's the history of civilization. It's what everyone's believed. And it existed between a man and a woman. And it was specifically for the raising and socializing of children. That was what it was directed towards. Oh my gosh. I mean, Hillary Clinton is like one of the most radical leftists in all of American politics, but she doesn't actually believe anything. She just goes wherever she sees the revolution going.
Why are some conservatives still focused on gay marriage? Same-sex marriage is legally recognized in the majority of the world's developed nations, and there is no indication that any country where it is legal plans to reverse that decision. Efforts to oppose it are futile and alienate potential allies. Most people see no harm in consenting adults living as they choose and cannot understand why same-sex marriage should be banned. For conservatives, continuing to harp on gay marriage is not just ineffective, it is counterproductive. Many gays might otherwise align with conservative values, but this persistent focus on opposing their rights creates unnecessary division. It's time to move on from this debate and focus on issues that matter to a broader audience. Let this obsession with gay marriage be a thing of the past, for the good of both conservatives and society as a whole. Thank you for listening, and please like and subscribe.